The snowstorm was merciless that night. Officer Daniel Hale almost didn't see it. A faint shadow moving against the whiteout. Something struggling to stand. When he stepped out of his patrol car, his heart nearly stopped. There, tied to a wooden post, was a German shepherd. Her fur frozen stiff, her body trembling violently. And beside her, tiny puppies half buried in the snow, barely alive. Daniel rushed forward, wrapping his coat around them. But then, the dog began barking, not at him, but toward the trees, desperate, frantic, as if trying to say something. Moments later, Daniel discovered why and what he found buried beneath that snowstorm would change everything and leave even a hardened officer in tears. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious. Where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The blizzard had turned the world into a sea of white. Officer Daniel Hale squinted through the windshield of his patrol SUV, wipers thudding in a steady rhythm against the glass. Dispatch had reported strange cries coming from the old highway near Miller's Ridge. Probably a stray, he thought. But something in the operator's voice told him it was more than that. Snow crunched beneath his boots as he stepped out, the wind slicing across his face. He lifted his flashlight, its beam cutting through swirling flakes until it landed on a shape by the roadside. His breath caught. A German shepherd tied to a wooden post, her fur caked with ice, her body shaking uncontrollably. At her feet lay tiny forms half buried in snow. Puppies. Daniel's heart pounded as he knelt down, brushing frost from their motionless bodies. One twitched weakly. Another barely breathed. The mother didn't growl or move. She only stared at him, eyes filled with desperation and trust. Daniel swallowed hard and pressed his radio. This is Unit 27. His voice cracked through the static. I need animal rescue at Miller's Ridge. Immediately, we've got survivors, but barely. The storm howled louder as if echoing the mother dog's silent plea. Daniel shrugged off his jacket and wrapped it around the trembling mother dog, his hands stiff from the cold. Hang in there, girl, he whispered. The snow kept falling heavier now, blurring the edges of everything around them. He gently gathered the weakest puppy and tucked it inside his vest to share his warmth. That's when he noticed something. Deep scratch marks carved into the snow just behind the post. Rex, his loyal K-9 partner, barked from the patrol car, pouring at the door. Daniel opened it and the trained German shepherd dashed out, nose to the ground. He began circling the post, sniffing frantically, then started digging near the base. Daniel knelt beside him, brushing away layers of frozen snow, until his glove hit something solid. A small metal box wrapped in an old damp blanket. Inside was a folded photograph, and a note smeared with moisture. Daniel's brow furrowed as he read. If you're reading this, please save them. I had no choice. His eyes lifted to the photograph. A smiling woman and a young boy, the same German shepherd beside them, proud and alive. His throat tightened. This wasn't random cruelty. These dogs belonged to someone who loved them. But then Daniel froze. The rope was freshly tied. Someone had been here, us recently, and they might still be close. The wind roared like a living beast, biting through Daniel's uniform as he scooped the smallest puppy into his arms. Its tiny chest rose and fell in faint, uneven breaths. Stay with Me, he murmured, pulling the pup close to his body for warmth. The mother dog whimpered, pacing in circles, her eyes darting between Daniel and the trees. Rescue's on the way, he said though. His voice shook with doubt. The temperature was plummeting fast. He untied the rope from the wooden post, freeing her. Instead of bolting for safety, she barked sharply and ran toward the woods, stopping every few feet to look back at him. What is it? Daniel called out, following her trail. Rex trotted beside him, nose to the ground. They pushed through the thick snow until Daniel stumbled upon an overturned sled, half buried near a frozen ditch. The mother dog pawed at it, barking frantically. Daniel dropped to his knees and lifted the edge. Beneath it lay another puppy, barely alive, pressed into the snow for warmth. He wrapped it in his scarf and looked at her. Ruck. You were trying to show me, he whispered. The faint sound of sirens pierced through the storm. Flashing red and blue lights glowed in the distance. Animal rescue was finally arriving. Daniel glanced at the mother and her surviving pups. Hold on, he said, voice breaking. We're not losing anyone tonight. The storm howled on, but hope had found its way through the snow. The veterinary clinic was small but warm, its fluorescent lights cutting through the night's lingering chill. Daniel paced outside the treatment room, his boots leaving wet prints on the tiled floor. Through the glass window he could see the vets working in silence, hands moving quickly, machines beeping. Oxygen masks pressed gently over the tiny muzzles of the puppies. The mother dog sat by the door, tail still, eyes locked on her babies. Every soft whimper from the room made her ears twitch. Daniel couldn't shake the image of that note from his mind. Please save them. I had no choice. He replayed those words over and over. They didn't sound like cruelty. They sounded like desperation. Moments later, his phone buzzed. It was the sheriff from the neighboring county. Hale, we might have something. A woman went missing 2 nights ago. Her car was found wrecked near Miller's Ridge. Daniel's heart skipped. A woman? Yeah. The sheriff continued. She had a German shepherd. The photo from her ID matches the picture you found. Daniel's hand tightened around the phone. The truth hit him hard. She hadn't abandoned them. She'd been trying to save them, lost and stranded in the storm, forced to leave them behind in hopes someone would find them. He turned toward the mother dog, who lifted her head at his movement. You weren't waiting for rescue, he whispered softly. You were waiting for her. 3 days later, the hospital room smelled faintly of antiseptic and hope. The woman from the photograph, her name was Lena, lay in bed, pale but awake. She had been found by a search team miles from the crash site, barely conscious, frostbitten, but alive. When Daniel entered, she looked at him with weary, tear-streaked eyes. The dogs, she whispered hoarsely. Did they? Daniel smiled faintly. They made it. All of them. Her trembling hand covered her mouth as tears streamed down her face. I tied them there. So someone would find them, she said, between sobs. I couldn't carry them anymore. I prayed someone would come. Daniel nodded slowly. You did the right thing. You saved them. The door opened softly and the German shepherd patted in, tail wagging weakly. For a second, Lena froze. Then she gasped. Bella. The dog leapt onto the bed, pressing her head against Lena's chest, whining softly as if scolding her for being gone so long. Nurses wiped tears from their eyes. Moments later, the puppies were carried in, tiny tails wagging, noses searching for warmth. Lena laughed through her tears, kissing their small heads. "My babies," she whispered. Daniel turned away, his throat tight. Some rescues, he realized, don't need words, just love strong enough to survive a storm. Within days, news stations picked up the story. Officer rescues dog family left to die in the snow. Clips of Daniel carrying the shivering puppies through the blizzard spread like wildfire across the internet. Millions watched, hearts melting as the video showed the moment. The mother dog nuzzled his face inside the patrol car. Weeks later, Daniel drove back to Lena's home where sunlight poured through frosted windows and laughter filled the air. The puppies, now healthy and playful, tumbled across the living room floor. The mother dog, Bella, trotted up to him, her eyes shining with recognition. Daniel knelt, letting her rest her head against his hand. "You did good, girl," he whispered. "You saved them all." Lena stepped onto the porch, smiling through tears. "We'll never forget what you did." Daniel shook his head softly. "It wasn't me," he said, glancing at Bella. "It was her." As he turned to leave, the wind stirred gently, carrying the faint echo of barks and laughter through the snow. And for one quiet moment, the world felt warm.